as they went by. 25 laps are in and 25 to go. What a commanding lead by Shepard in the 9S machine.
Tomkins has now secured that number 2 spot from Mahaney. But get this, he's a half a track behind Matt Shepard. He enters turn 3 as Shepard comes off at turn number 2. He's got to have a caution to make something happen at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomkins taking over second, but Shepard a half a track in front. We got one in trouble up on the high side over there. That's going to bring out a caution, and that huge lead now is going to be evaporated. Matt Shepard having no challenge at all, as he's just went out and walked away from the field here.
Exactly the caution Matt Shepard did not want to see, and exactly what Gary Tomkins wanted. Tomkins had cleared traffic, but he was a half a track behind. You got to wonder about maybe tire situation too. What do these tires look like at this point? Not really a dry racetrack, a lot of moisture in it. We'll see what happens with the Gary Tomkins 84 machine as he lines up alongside Matt Shepard, who had a half a track lead on the second place car.
What are they doing in the lap traffic? Is that going to stay there, or do they get around? We'll see how that all works. Different tracks, different series have different rules on how they work lap traffic. Some tracks you stay there, make everyone have to get by them. Other ones to make you go to the back. But we'll have to see. Andy Bacchetti, he's in the number 4 now. I'm not sure. So the call's going, the lap cars all going to drop to the rear. That's going to put Gary Tomkins up on the back bumper of the 9S machine. It'll be the 9S of Superman. Dave Allen, the car that came to a halt there, he's getting a push back to the pit area. Tomkins will be second. Peter Britton will be third. Peter Britton will be fourth. I forget about the leader so far out front.
Alan Johnson will round out the top 5 with the 14J. Bacchetti will be next in line. Can anybody touch Matt Shepard? Holy cow, a half a track lead before halfway. But now we reset. White flag in the air. Single file formation.
White flag coming out. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 cars remaining on the Speedway.
Matt Shepard looking for win number 5 in a row. The last 4 races he competed in, he has won. A winner last night at Merrittville, looking to cap it off and take the $7,500 paycheck tonight here at Rolling Wheels Raceway and make it 5 in a row. Tomkins came on towards the end there. Mike Mahaney back in this thing now as we get ready to go green down off of turn number 4. Tompkins pokes his nose out a little bit there, bringing him down real slow. Green flag flies.
They're working down the backstretch. Getting way up on the outside as they're going to go 3 wide back there. Way down on the bottom, we got ones. McKinney working the top side, trying to work around to get into position number 4. Trying to get around the Peter Britton car. Can't quite do it.
Gary Tomkins had a shot at Matt Shepard off of turn number 2 last time. Really got through turn 2 well there. But Shepard tiptoes away, making about 6 or 7 car lengths for Superman Matt Shepard as he comes off the corner. He got one in the back in trouble at 21.
Ryan Jordan, the CFI, sponsored by going to the infield out of harm's way. And they got one up on the high side. Oh my!
That's Shepard. That's Matt Shepard breaks while leading. Holy cow.
That's why they say it's never over until it's over. He was in the groove. He had a big commanding lead. Then the car has to slow and roll way back down. They go to crank it back up, and something must have broke inside the power plant, would be my first guesstimate.
Matt Shepard looking at 5 in a row, and it will not happen tonight. Now, it took Gary Tomkins a long time to get around Mike Mahaney, so that may be a battle right there with Mahaney possibly able to challenge Gary Tomkins.
If he needs a push or a hook here, if he gets hooked, well, in the rear, you'd say something in the drive line broke, but we'll see. Concerned now is if something might have worked. Pushing away, so the driver is okay. It's always a concern when a car just comes to a stop like that.
Well, it's not in the drive line, and could be an MSD box, could be in the power plant. A lot of things could go wrong, but bottom line, Matt Shepard will not win 5 in a row. Dominant tonight for 28 laps, and he will go back via the push truck. Guess that's what it looks like to have $7,500 just fly away, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, it's never over until it's over. Gary Tomkins down on the top of the heat. Mahaney second, Britton third, Alan Johnson fourth, Paquetti is fifth. 6 is Rudolph. 7th belongs to the 02 of Brezhnehan. Then it's Coffee. The 9 Superman goes by, the crowd goes wild.
Well, the crowd was pretty vocal there when he shut down. They knew they were going to see somebody new here tonight and hold him back from getting 5 in a row. Gary Tomkins up into the corner. Field under the control of Scott Hickson right now as we get ready to go back to green. 28 laps in the books. 50 is the distance.
Real quick, 437-602 is the first number of the 50-50. 926-769 was the second number. If you got it, you're a winner. If you don't worry about it. Out of the turn, green is out. Anderson down where racing. Look at McKinney down on the bottom. He's going to take it 3 wide, trying to get up into position number 4.
And he really roughed up Alan Johnson on the front straightaway. AJ's having nothing about it as he'll sling past the number 4 of McKinney. That was a rough deal down the front straightaway. That's a great battle right there for the number 4 spot.
And now getting by, there goes Run Rudolph up to position number 5. McKinney dropped back to 6. Now Alan Johnson slowed momentarily. Rudolph trying to slide by him for position 4. Slow down the backstretch. Alan Johnson, the car having problems. So they're starting to drop fast and furious here. I know he bobbled over in turn 2 a couple laps before that. Thought maybe they might have shut off on him real quick and came back. So again, the 50-50, 437-602 was the first prize. Second prize was 926-769. Hang on to your tickets. They say the modified runner is drawing a third prize. Not sure what that is, but you're still alive if you didn't throw your tickets away. Don't know who won what. Didn't get any details on that. So. 31 laps in, 19 remain. Tomkins back out front. Mahaney right there second. Running third on the grid is Peter Brinton. Got two of them down there. One on the track and one off the track.
Yeah, I got one over the hill as well. Coffee down there with a 23.
I believe the other one is the 77. Complete show for the American Racer Grid Series coming up next after the driver interview, and I believe there's another 50-50 prize. Not sure what it is. Maybe it's a sandwich to the announcer. We'll find out. Not a problem. So not sure if both prizes were claimed yet. Generator sets there, but they might be keeping that there to the end of the night. Not sure. Cash, I believe, was claimed. Unfortunately, it wasn't by me. Or Todd. So 2, 4, 6, 8 cars remain. 19 laps to go. And we'll see if any of these cars don't look like any of them going to require to come back out here. Track is clear now. Tomkins, Mahaney, Brewerton, Rudolph, Becchetti,
Field ready this time down off of turn number 4. Tomkins brings him down. Nice steady pace as he gets to the cone. Green flag is in the air. We're back underway. 31 laps in the book. Becchetti tried to make a move on the 25, but Rudolph wasn't working. Rudolph shut the door.
Brewerton was trying to make a move under Mahaney. That didn't work. Now Brewerton taking over position number 5 as he was able to get by Becchetti there, working the high side of the Speedway.
Becchetti back around him as he sets sail to the 25 of Aaron Rudolph. Now top 3 a little bit tighter here. Mahaney changing up his line a little bit, trying to run down Gary Tomkins as they hit the midway point of the back straightaway.
They come around this time. It'll be 33 laps in, 17 to go. With the 33 trying to chase down the 84 of Tomkins.
Brewerton now closing in a little bit on Mike Mahaney as they go up the backstretch. Tight battle there for the number 2, 3, and 4 position down into turn number 3. Gary Tomkins out in front by about 8 car lengths.
On the front straightaway. It's still Gary Tomkins, your leader, Mahaney, Peter Brinton, Rudolph running down in fourth. McKenny still working high over there with the number 4. He's fifth. 6 is Brezhnehan.
Great run from Eric Rudolph off the corner. He'll get the spot to the inside, and he'll swing past Peter Britton as they go to turn number 1. Great run from Eric Rudolph.
So Rudolph trying to make a late race charge here. He took over position number 3 now.
Rudolph able to pull away by 3 or 4 car lengths now. Trying some different lines, really hugging that inside barrier down in turn number 4. Rudolph to turn 1, right on the bottom. And Haney runs a little bit more towards the top side of the speedway. But it's Tomkins down into turn number 3 with a 15 car length advantage.
Battle there towards the back of the pack between Rick Rickner and Kyle Coffey. Another battle, but Kenneth was really high that time coming out of turn number 3. Almost got overtaken by Brezhnehan. But out front, drawing away right now, having things his own way, is Gary Tomkins, the driver out of Clifton Springs, New York. Haney, Rudolph, Britt, McKenny, Brezhnehan. There's Richter and Coffey.
Tomkins with a 3/4 of a straightaway advantage now over Mike Mahaney as they hit turns 1 and 2 together. And he just continues to step away and stretch it out. This time, coming to 40 down and 10 to go. 40 and 10 as he comes down off of turn number 4. Gary Tomkins tiptoeing away.
Tomkins showing that quick way around, trying to keep the car glued to the bottom. Mahaney trying to work it up just a little bit higher in the grove. Rudolph, once he cleared the 21A of Britain, closed in a little bit on Mahaney. Can't seem to close anymore, but now with 10 to go, he's trying to pick it up a little bit more.
Right to the bottom side of 1 and 2 for the Gary Tomkins entry as he continues to stretch it out. Coffey now works to the inside. He'll finally get that position away as he goes up the backstretch. Boy, he'll bang a little bit up the backstretch.
Takes over that spot from Richter. So now Richter sitting there in the back of the pack. But out front, Gary Tomkins having his own way, starting to stretch that lead out. About 3/4 of a straightaway lead now over second place running Mike Mahaney, who's faded a little bit. And as Rudolph picked it up a little bit, that's going to be the next battle. But will they have enough laps to make a race of it there?
I think so. Rudolph has completely changed his line. Mahaney a little bit loose, it looks like. And Rudolph has changed things up in between turns 3 and 4. Let's see if he gains again here. Down between the corners, running extremely low off the corner.
Over in 2 last time, he bobbled just a little bit. That cost some of his momentum that he had built up. But now down the backstretch again. Tomkins with a commanding lead. We're running late into this one. It's going to be 5 to go as you see the huge right hand of Scott Hickson showing him 5 to go. Or is he waving?
Could be too little, too late for Eric Rudolph. He has found something, but it's just too much to overcome. Again, he slipped in turn number 2. Just can't put the lap together to make it happen. Here now, Tomkins down into 1 and 2. The 23 car now grabs another position up the back straightaway. The Sweeteners Press entry might have a car in trouble down there between the turns.
Working it up on the high side. They're slowing. You might be able to coast it on into the pit area. They're asking him to go across the track. Oh my! Woo! That's Roy Brezhnehan. He's going to make a pit sign. So a bad break for Brezhnehan, ending his night.
He can end his night in 8th, though. What an attrition-filled race. 2 to go this time. Down off the corner for Gary Tomkins as he heads to turn number 1.
Mahaney right there running second. Third is Rudolph. Fourth is Britt Coming by right now is going to be your 5th place car. Kenny 6 is Coffee, and 7 is the 26th machine of Rich Rickner. Unless something really extreme happens, that's how they're going to finish. White flag out. Down into turn number 3, picking up the summer boiler for the modifieds. The win gonna go to Gary Tomkins.
Well, good evening. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to this edition of Monday Night Modifieds with Matt and Mike. My name is Mike Mallett, joined alongside my good friend Matt Smith, and we are back, Matt, for edition number 2. We made it through week 1. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, we did good enough to at least try for another one.
So, what'd you think there? I know we talked last week a lot about Rolling Wheels Raceway, and Eric did a nice job, our producer, of picking out Rolling Wheels for this week. What'd you think watching that? I mean, you didn't get to go there, you didn't get the race there, so what'd you think?
It looked like it was a pretty fast track, you know. They didn't end up with a ton of cars at the end of that race, but man, they were hauling mail around there.
Yeah, and I was in. What'd you say? It was a combination of Utica Rome and a little bit of Utica Rome, little Canandaigua there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like almost a perfect mixture of Utica Rome and Canandaigua. Probably a little faster than both, but you know the configuration seemed to be that way.
Yeah, that obviously that night the track was a little what's the word? Had character, as we like to say in the announcing industry when we don't want to say the track was rough. But unfortunately, that was it. It was done. And Gary Tomkins picked up that victory there in that event, and that wrapped up the history of Rolling Wheels. And you saw the dates there. 2017, the last time we were fortunate enough to see racing at Rolling Wheels Raceway. And unfortunately for you, I think that will probably be the last time. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You can't say never, but by the looks of things, you don't want to hold your breath. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, today's day and age, that seems to be the new norm is racetracks closing. We don't see many tracks reopening, but racetracks closing. I know your area has seen a few, but I bet you probably never got to any of those. Like Red Line. Did you ever get down the Red Line? Nope. That place was the most interesting place I've ever been. It was a neat little quarter mile, and when I say quarter mile, it was like this big. Okay, I'm trying to get that in the camera. It was about that big.
Where was it?
Literally, Red Line was in Greenfield or Clearfield, Pennsylvania, I think, or I might be off on that. It might be a different track, but it was basically northern Pennsylvania, kind of, just I want to say west of Scranton area, kind of out in that neck of the woods. And it was a quarter mile. So I would say even smaller than Woodhall. And I don't know if you ever had a chance to race at Woodhall, but it was even smaller than Woodhall.
Yeah, I went to Woodhall one time. I think, I don't know. I think it's pretty close between Woodhall and Accord as far as the smaller tracks go.
This was smaller than both of those. Legit, I feel like the tow truck would park on the front straightaway, and you would see the back of the tow truck, like the hook, hanging on the backstretch, and the nose of the tow truck was on the front stretch. Like that's how small Red Line was. And it's almost like when cars would throw it into the corner, they would go backwards to get the car to turn and go back down the backstretch.
Oh, it was almost like a micro track then.
Yeah. It was
like a mill bridge or something like that.
Yeah, I met some good guys out there. I want to say Sean Reimert ran out there, whose son Loudon out races. I don't know if you remember Ricky Yetter or not. That used to race at Afton back in the day. Now he's he was a judge for a while. I don't know if he's still a judge, but Ricky Yetter raced there, and a handful of other southern tier guys. But it was a neat little place. But unfortunately, again, we talk rolling wheels, we talk closing racetracks, and I think, we've seen far too much of that. Now, I will say it's kind of neat. How much do you follow along with the Mansfield project and everything going on there? Since we're talking closed racetracks, let's talk about a revitalization story.
Yeah, I think I saw somewhere this past fall where that guy came in and redid some stuff. And I think if I remember right, that was when he was talking about maybe opening it as an asphalt track, but then he changed his mind or decided to go dirt or something along those lines. You probably know a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, that project, if you get a chance to look up Matt Tiff and the folks at Mansfield, it's incredible what they've done there just in the short period of time. And I think one of the cooler things, now it annoys me because I would love to be there, but I am not going to be able to be there because, it's taking place during the Knoxville Nationals. But the Tuesday
guy.
Yeah, right. I got to go to Knoxville, Matty. I got to go to Knoxville. And it's the Tuesday of the Nationals. They're going to Mansfield with the Super Dirt Car Series on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night they're at Aaron Speedway. Both of them are right around Columbus, kind of in that ballpark. And another cool thing, if you're a history nerd, if you've ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, the prison that they used to film that is just down the road from Mansfield Speedway. So you could nerd out on a movie geek and want to go see that, and also go to the racetrack. But pretty cool there. And the other thing I've seen pop up a lot, and the only reason I kind of know more about this is I was watching, or this weekend I was at the Eastern Motorsports Press Association convention, and IHRA was there, and IHRA is starting to buy up some racetracks. Do you see much of that? I know you're not a dragster guy, but that's kind of been popping up a bit too.
No, I honestly, the only drag stuff that I see is anything that Tony Stewart's doing because he's in all forms of racing. So no, I haven't seen anything with that. But I think there was something at some point, a press release or an article with him talking about those tracks. I think there was 3 or 4 of them getting bought up by them guys.
Yeah, they've bought a couple pavement tracks. I tried to get out of them. The rumor is they're going to build a dirt track at Memphis, but they didn't commit too much. They just said they're going to do a bunch of different stuff there. So I tried as a media member, I had to try, had to take my shot at it. But, I think it's cool. We've seen some tracks come back, and unfortunately though, I think some tracks we're not going to see come back. And, Rolling Wheels is probably going to be one of those racetracks. I don't know. I'm getting phone calls during a live show here. Do people not know what we're doing or what? I mean, come on, people. Come on. And of course, if you'd like to chat with us, you can comment on the Facebook broadcast or you can comment on the YouTube, and we'll see the comments right here and we'll pop it up on the screen. And of course, you can also call into the show if you'd like to do that. The number's on the bottom right now, 315-878-7766. And go ahead, call in, get your comments. Obviously, the first few shows, we're just kind of filling it with some different things. We don't have many races to talk about because, let's be fair, there really isn't a ton of modified racing going on right now. We did have the Chili Bowl and the Wild West Shootout over the weekend, and I know I watched the Chili Bowl. I think you watched the Wild West Shootout on Saturday, or a little bit of the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, I watched mostly the late model stuff at the Wild West Shootout. Watched the highlights of the Chili Bowl. That was pretty good, though. A lot of action going on there inside of Tulsa. And then, but no, I thought the Wild West Shootout stuff was really good. Anybody that watched last night's race there out in Arizona, Central Arizona, I think it is, that was all you could get your money for right there between the heat races and the features for them supers.
Oh, here you go. Somebody asked you, what's your thoughts on JD versus Turbo? Yeah,
that's been a huge topic today. That's been all over my social media. But I don't know, as far as as a racer looking in, you gotta take a hole if it's there. And there was a pretty good vantage point from the infield that someone had posted to where Turbo cleared him by maybe 1.5 to 2 feet, and then the 49 was right there, and just didn't lift. So I mean, sometimes you get put into a position where you think you're good and someone slides you, and that's just part of it. You got to lift. It's either settle for second or race it out for first, or if you don't lift, sometimes it takes you right out, and that's what happened to JD.
Yeah, then obviously on the flip side of that, you've got racing at the Chili Bowl, which is the Cannonball. What my thoughts on the Cannonball?
Never heard of that one.
Emerson Axum, or just what happens at the Chili Bowl where everybody drives like a bulldozer and just I'm coming through, and I don't care. There we go, Cannon McIntosh. Yeah, I mean, I thought everything went at the Chili Bowl was pretty good. A lot of wrecking in the A main, which again is normal. It's the Chili Bowl. I will say, if you had NOS on the side of your car, it was good for NOS because they got a lot of screen time. But not for the right reasons in that race.
I did see that. Yeah, it seemed like it's, Ricky Thornton posted something there today. It was, slide or be slid across the board this weekend, whether it was out in Arizona or at the Tulsa or the Chili Bowl in Tulsa. That's just, I think across all forms of racing these days, everything's so aggressive. You gotta take what you can get.
Yeah, and now that's kind of where I want to go here. Since we're talking about this topic. What has changed with racing in general that, you see the older guys, we could talk about modified racing or sprint car racing, whatever, not nearly as aggressive a form of racing, with our modified guys, look, you're going to bump, you're going to touch, right? We have Nerf bars, rub rails, all that. But to me, it seems like racing, as we continue to move forward and we get a next generation of racing, guys your age and younger, is there more aggressiveness out there, or is it more aggressive? Do you feel like it's more aggressive, or do you think modified racing, not so much, but in these other forms of racing, you definitely see it?
I mean, I think, in my opinion, just what I feel, as being part of the driver's end of things year to year, it seems like something's always changing. I'm not going to say it's always suspension related, but it just seems like the way you need to drive or the way you try and set your stuff up and approach a race definitely seems to get more and more aggressive. Like you see the Yankowskis and Alex Payne, those guys are driving the hell out of those things. And, to keep up with them, it just seems like, that's where things are trending. So you either have to get with it or, kind of settle in. But I think things move in waves. You had the slow and straight stuff. Not that doesn't apply to things throughout the season, but it seems like, like you said, things are getting more and more aggressive, and there's not really much of saving things anymore. It's, you're set on kill as soon as the green flag comes out, whether it's weekly racing or 50 lappers or 100 lappers, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I definitely see some more aggression in modified racing. I don't think it's as egregious as some other forms of racing. The Chili Bowl, I think, is just a one-off example. Maybe it's more in the midgets, and I just don't watch the midgets enough to know. But you watch those B mains, you watch some of those races at the Chili Bowl, and it is wild.
I think the late models are pretty aggressive too, but the sprint cars and the midgets, you're following the Larsons and the Christopher Bells and whoever else is going into these higher forms of motorsports, and you're like, man, whatever I got to do to beat them, and then also look at what these guys are doing to beat the guys that are there. So I mean, if people are trying to follow that NASCAR path, or just trying to be somebody in the sprint car world, that's kind of what they got to do. And as far as the mods go, our end of racing, I think 99% of the people that race mods got to go to work the next day. So they're not out there trying to put their life on the line for a NASCAR ride,
Yeah, right. And the aspirations for most modified guys, I don't see it as, hey, let's move on to the next level. Let's go to late models. Let's go to World of Outlaws and then try to move up. It tends to just kind of be, hey, I'm a local racer. I got to, like you said, I got a job. I got a family. I'm going to be home. I just want to go out on the weekend, maybe run the series and have some fun. We do have a call already here in the first 15 minutes. So we have Kevin on line one. So Kevin, what do you got for us?
Hi, Matt. Hi, Mike.
Dirty, what's going on?
I'm doing great. Hey, I just want to give you guys a thumbs up on your show, because there's nothing around that talks about the Northeast modified racers.
Well, you can thank Matt for that. He's been pestering me for 2 years to do something like this, where we get together and talk about modified racing. So we appreciate you listening, and we hope you enjoy some of the stuff we talk about.
No, it's great. It reminds me back in the days of when the rush hour on dirt was on. Matt's a little young to know.
I've seen the
about
rewinds on YouTube. I looked that stuff up.
Yeah, I'm not a little young for that. I used to love watching Rush Hour on dirt, and I still, we talked about,
and there's nobody else that does that. Talks about the Northeast Modifieds, and you guys nailed it.
Well, we hope you enjoy, and we're going to keep it rolling and keep doing it here. We're going to have some fun. Again, we're looking forward to racing season when that makes this a little bit easier to do when we got some racing action to talk about and things like that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Kevin, thanks for the call, man, and thanks for listening.
See you soon, Kev.
Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right. So we've got some questions coming in. One for you, Maddie, here about Thunder Mountain and talking about tire wear. And it says, Matt, how is tire wear at Brewerton and Thunder Mountain? My son races karts, and he has big dreams of racing at the mountain. How about shocks? Do you have multiple sets to compete?
Tire wear between Brewerton and Thunder, they're pretty easy on tires. I run the same set, night to night, depending on some certain conditions. But you don't need a million sets of tires to go to either place. And it's pretty easy on tires unless you're really beating on your stuff. But, shocks, I think people want to complicate those more than they want to simplify them. It's not really a shock game of, super secret stuff. A lot of the stuff out there you can win with is pretty simple,
So you don't need so one set of shocks, 5 sets of shocks, 10,
whatever you want, your preference, I guess. But I'm not going to sit here and say that you need, 4 sets of tires or 18, 20 different sets of shocks in your trailer.
So there you go. So hopefully that helps you out there, Scott. Next question came in. We were talking about Mansfield earlier on here about 10 minutes ago. And someone asked, is there a track that you would like to see the big blocks go to at some point? Maddie, you go first on this one. Is there a place where you'd like to go race that the big blocks haven't been that you've seen or that you've watched?
That's a tough one.
There's a lot of cool tracks out there, right? A lot of cool tracks.
There really is. Man, I'm a little stumped there. I got to think about that for a minute. There's a ton of cool tracks where, like, you see the late models and the sprint cars go to that we don't go to. I think, if we're a Mike Mallett fanboy, we got to try Knoxville at least once, right?
Here is my dilemma with taking the big block modifieds to Knoxville. Okay. To me, that is my holy grail of race car tracks, my favorite place to be. But I don't know how I would feel watching other cars there. Like, I've never been to the late model nationals at the end of the year. They've ran stock cars there, IMCA stock cars, which everybody knows. If you don't know, that is one of my favorite classes, if not my favorite. But bringing sprint cars to the home of, or bringing modifieds to the world capital of sprint car racing, it'd be kind of tough for me to deal with. Now, look, would I go? Probably. Okay, let's keep that.
No, you'll be there. You'd be waiting at the gate for us.
You're probably right. I would be there for it, and I'd be excited. No, luckily I play iRacing, so I've actually been, fake turn laps around Knoxville, in a modified on iRacing. But I think Knoxville would be interesting. I think that could be a cool place to see the modifieds at.
What do you think?
Huh?
What's your thoughts on that? Where do you think we ought to go?
Again, Knoxville was what I was hemming and hawing about when he asked the question. That's why I let you go first. I'm trying to think of any places where, I could think of some tracks that would be cool to put like dirt on and run modifieds at. Like, I'd love to see dirt put on Wall Stadium in New Jersey and try to, kind of have that happen and go there. We had this discussion this weekend. We were actually talking about it. Modifieds have not been at Williams Grove in a really long time. Last time they were there at night, it was actually pretty awesome. During the day, it rubbered down and was typical awful, of a rubber down racetrack. Nationally, I've been lucky. I've seen them at Eldora. Eldora would be the next one. I love Eldora. I think Eldora is one of the coolest places to go see a race. I was fortunate. I saw the modifieds there a couple of times, during the truck series stuff when they were there. It would be neat to see the modifieds, not necessarily as a standalone, but not with the trucks either. Just because the track was so different, because the truck series was there. Like, they have, when they have the NASCAR on dirt, they got to keep the track kind of slicked off and all of that. So, So as the one particular that I can think of, I'm going to keep thinking of this as the show goes on and try to kind of get back to something. Anything else you've thought of besides
I
Knox?
know we talked about this, I don't know, probably a month or so ago. I know the modifieds have been to Golden Isles, but I feel like the way that the track's configured now and how you see the late models with the track transitions there, I think that would put on a pretty cool show at Golden Isles.
You know who was there the last time the modifieds were there?
Yeah, because you're old. That was probably what, 84?
My favorite. I'll tell you a quick story about that before we get back to. We got Damon on the line here. We'll get to him in just a second. So I was there. I was at Volusia. GT Smith and I were getting ready to leave to go up, and it was the final night of the World of Outlaws at Volusia. Greg Hodnett was leading the Dirt Car Nationals points, and if anybody knows me, knows I was a huge Greg Hodnett fan. Always loved my conversations with Greg, and I go to Greg. I go, hey, Greg, just want to say good luck to you tonight. We're, GT and I, we're heading out. We're heading north to, we won't be here tomorrow. We're going to Golden Isle. They got big block modifieds. He just looks at me, he goes, and I'm cleaning it up, but he goes, why would you want to do that? You have sprint cars here at Volusia. Why would you want to do that? And I'm like, Greg, I gotta go where my people want us to go. And, Dirt Track Digest, we're about modifieds. That's our number one. And of course, sprint cars, late models kind of fall in line behind that. So, but let's see. We got a couple more. We got Damon on the line. So let's bring Damon in and have him chat. So, all right, we got Damon on the line. Damon, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
What do you got for us, Damon?
Okay, so I got two questions. I got two things to say.
Okay.
Recently, I've been trying to promote the Thunder Bash on the mountain.
Yeah.
Because a lot of drivers seemed like they went there a lot because it's the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of drivers have been recently texting me back and saying they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carl Comfort, young dudes like Jacob Gorecki and so on. So you think that's good that I've been doing that?
Well, look, I love cars at the Monster Bash. This past year we ran a one-day show. Unfortunately, Mother Nature and had 190 cars, but I'm always open to more cars coming and being there. I try to reach out. I know just for the show that Dirt Track Digest is promoting here, the Showdown in the Sunshine State. I know I've reached out to about 150 to 200 drivers, whether it be Facebook or phone calls or text messages or whatever. So any promotion is usually a good promotion.
I second that.
I got a question for Matt.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Will you be at the Thunder Bash on the mountain?
Yeah, I'll probably be there. That's one of the ones that I like to hit every year, ever since the first year that they did it. And then this past year, I think was a really good race.
Yeah, you better be there. Okay, no offense, but I'm the promoter of that thing. What's going to be there? We're going to have a problem. I'm going to have a new co-host. I'm going to have a new co-host if you're not.
Damon, you're going to co-host if I say no.
Was Matt at the recent one?
Yeah,
Yep.
Matt's been at the last two. Yeah, he's been at the first two. Yep.
Oh, I always be watching it, and I feel like I don't see him because we're Matt drivers. I do, but yeah, that's cool though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hey, buddy, thanks for the call. Thanks for the comments. All right.
Yep.
You have a good night. Okay.
You too.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's some questions I missed here. I had a couple comments. We had someone mentions that everybody, was it Matt Steffenhagen here? Everybody from 1st to 24th has the best stuff. So passing is definitely harder than it used to be. And I would agree with that. Matt and I had a plan of talking about which style of racing is our modifieds the best product out there or not? And, what do you think on this, Matt? Is it a byproduct of just now, everybody buys the same stuff. Like I could go tomorrow, if I had the money and I could buy the same equipment that you're running, that Matt Shepard's running, that Matt Williamson running. I can have all that in my shop.
Yeah, I mean, everything's accessible at your fingertips. I mean, you can Google and look up the Bicknell parts book and have everything that we have within our shop, But as far as the product, we talk about that. I think we're like the perfect combination of a sprint car and a late model, in my opinion, because we're not super aero dependent. Now you get on the big tracks, you get behind somebody, and you might not be able to turn in as good. But like as far as just being strung out and not doing a lot of passing strictly because of aero or silly suspension rules, we don't really have that. I think our stuff is simple enough to where it works, it's fast, and we can put on some really good racing.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we can kind of come back to this. We've got a lot of questions coming in, so I want to kind of, somebody brought up Texas here for the World of Outlaws. Brandon, guys, when are we going to get World of Outlaw late models in Texas? I don't know if they go that far west, but I will say, watching the couple nights that I did get to watch of the Wild West Shootout at Central Arizona Speedway, that track races really, really well. Like that track was pretty awesome. Maybe that's a track we could, see some big blocks at.
High Limit went to Texas Motor Speedway this past year or 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. And as we talk through this, I have a track that I want to see modifieds at. The Dome.
Oh,
modifieds in the Dome. Let's go, Maddie. We're going to the Dome.
That would be sweet. If we had something like that even close to home, I'm telling you, you'd have 30,000 people in there. What else are you going to
do? We would destroy some stuff, but it would be pretty awesome. Let us see. We got another call coming in here. John. So what do we got, John? What do you want to talk about here tonight?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I wanted to know what you think about you talk about tracks closing. What do you think about New Egypt?
Yeah,
New Egypt's closing. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 66 years old. I go back to Vineland. My dad raced in a Sportsman in Vineland, and I seen all them guys. I mean, I go back to Elton Hildreth and Jackie McLaughlin and Al Tasnati, and I hate to see these tracks closed, man. I really do. I mean, I used to go to Reading every Friday and Sunday. I love it, man. Mm-hmm. But I hate to see. What do you think about New Egypt, and what do you think they're going to do?
The unfortunate, it's been eerily quiet about what's going to happen with New Egypt. I've kind of put some feelers out and kind of been trying to, talk to some people that kind of more in the know with New Jersey racing than I am. And there hasn't been much said. I don't want to see New Egypt close. I can tell you, some of my best experiences, some of the best races I've seen, I used to, I think we talked about a little bit last week was I would go to East Windsor on Friday nights when I was in college. And then I would go to New Egypt, the next night. And I always loved the racing at New Egypt. Now, I wasn't around when you're talking about El Tasnady and those kind of days. But I did get to watch like Jimmy Horton and, Billy Pouch Sr., Kenny Brightbill, Frank Cozy. Those kind of guys racing it out each and every week. And I love the place. I think it's great because it's unique. It's not the same cookie cutter shape that you get with dirt racing normally. It's got the weird back dog leg and all that. So, for all of us in the Northeast and in modified racing, I definitely hope we see New Egypt stay open. Matt, I don't think you have much experience. Have you been to New Egypt? Have you raced in New Egypt?
I went with my dad and Billy a couple times way back. I shouldn't say way back, but probably 17,
yeah,
18.
Be careful when you're talking about to a guy that went to Reading when you say way back, okay?
I understand that. But no, yeah, I've been there a couple of times, and I think the racing is good there. You look at the last two Super Series finishes, they put on some good racing there, and even the weekly stuff that I watch, with you with the streaming stuff, the highlights, it's always good racing there. But John, what do you think? Being at all these tracks over the years, what do you think it is that makes the breed die a little? What do you think that things lack as a fan looking in?
My opinion is my dad raced. Okay, he wasn't popular. He was just a sportsman. But now I see Billy Pouch getting a new car. His frame is $45,000. My dad used to go to the junkyard and they would sneak in at night and get the parts they needed. I mean, it's the money. Everything is so expensive. $45,000. That's just for the chassis for Billy Pouch Jr. I mean, I've been to Bridgeport, man, and watching Horton and the Flying Farmer, and I love Bridgeport, man. I wish we would never. I loved it when it was the 5/8, but I mean, it's the money. The money's killing the sport.
Yeah, I think with bigger purses that come in, and I think back to like 2017, 2018 when stuff was a lot more open and the money started getting good, and people had a whole bunch of different engine combinations, and then obviously the promoters are going to reel it in a little bit to where things are a little tighter. But I mean, you can't disagree. Things are expensive, and that's just, you know, the trend of all forms of motorsports.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a way to get a true entry level class that's affordable. I mean, even, you know, it's just getting tougher and tougher. You know, COVID hit, and that just seemed to set things in motion for everything to kind of skyrocket. You know, every year there's a price increase on this, you know, on that. You know, nothing has stabilized. You know, I think for the longest time prices were kind of flat. You know, and you could, you know, a car was X amount, and I could buy that car for 4 or 5 years at X amount. But now we've kind of started to see that every year they're passing on more, they're passing on more and passing on more. Obviously, there's some different factors in that cost of, you know, for whatever reason. You know, we do have some tariff stuff now going on with things coming from Canada, as far as and you know, in Chinese goods and all that. So I mean, the prices are definitely going up. But I agree, you know, John, I agree with you. Cost is probably a major factor, and limiting who has access to the sport. You know, this sport used to be about the guy that worked on his car in his garage, and you didn't need a degree from a technical school like RPI or something to go racing. And now with where it's at and all the new technologies and all that new stuff, it's definitely making it hard.
Yeah, I remember, like, I'm 66, and I remember sitting on the bleachers with my mom and watching Vineland and going to Pittman and Reading and Nazareth, Windsor. I mean, I just hate to see this sport die.
I'm with you, man. It's my bread and butter. I've been going since my parents met at a racetrack, as I think I said last week. So I've been going. I'm 45 years in now. I can say I've seen at least one race per year for the last 45 years. So I completely understand where you're coming from, man.
I'm only 5 minutes from Bridgeport. I don't like Doug. I liked it when it was a big old 5/8. I don't like Doug. I like the 5/8. I like that. I mean, I can't say nothing bad about Doug.
Yeah.
But
no.
I mean, there was good racing there.
Yeah, it was a different style, right? I mean, I've always been a fan of that. Like, I love going to Middletown, bigger track. But, you know, I think part of the reason Doug kind of made those changes was maybe to hopefully get the cost down a little bit. You know, you're not running on the big 5/8. And, you know, I think that's why you tend to see higher car counts at smaller tracks. I know Thunder Mountain, we're a smaller track. And, you know, you look at our car counts and you can put that side by side with a lot of the smaller other, you know, like Albany, Saratoga, whatever. We were up there with them on average car count. So I think that definitely probably factored into there. And, you know, I know they've made some changes this offseason to kind of help with, you know, keeping the tire costs down a little bit and keeping things a little bit more in line. So hopefully all those work out for Bridgeport. And luckily for at least you still have Bridgeport 5 minutes from home. You know, like you, I'm fortunate. I got Brewerton 5 minutes up the road here. Maddie's got Thunder Mountain 10 minutes down the road, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah.
Well, hey, John, thanks for the call, man. We appreciate you chiming in.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. You too. Well, that's cool. That was a great question. Great talk there, Maddie. I liked it. Let's see. We got, a couple more comments. I'll just hustle through here quick. Hell Tour. Some of those tracks would be good for modified. Some of those little bull rings. I would say
pretty sweet.
I suck at Fairbury on iRacing. I just smash the wall and I'm dead. That is it there. I am terrible.
Yeah, I agree with that. Fairbury would be awesome.
Yeah, you'd like it. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Now, here's a food question, and since I'm the resident fat guy on this podcast, and then Matt is not, what track has the best pizza logs in New York? Well, I think they're all pizza logs. If they're done right, they should be the same at every racetrack you go to. Have you had a pizza log, Matt? Are you a pizza log guy or no?
No, I'm not worried about food, but I will say typically we have a smorgasbord in either my trailer or my brother's trailer that people bring us, so we got it pretty good.
Yeah, but no, I definitely I like the pizza logs. Pizza logs started the first track to have them, Fonda Speedway, and Dirt Track Digest Forum had a start in that. I just want that to be known. We can talk about that at a different time, but we'll take a little credit for that. Looking down a little bit, the Dome in Syracuse. Now, would that be big enough to run modifieds at? Could we run them in the Dome? I've been to games in the Dome. I mean, in theory, if they can do it at St. Louis, in theory, it's the same size. I just don't know how, I don't think it's pressurized anymore, right? The roof is actually held up now.
Yeah,
because before it was pressurized, and there was no way you could pull that off. No way. I can't imagine the cost though, and obviously you would need to sell a hell of a lot of live streams and get a heck of a lot of fans in there to pull that off. But I think that would be awesome. That would be pretty cool.
I'm for it.
Yeah, you would. Hey, look, I'm for it. I'm in. Let's go. Somebody wants to loan me, $500,000. I'll see if I can pull this off for you. All right, here's one for you. A couple for you, Maddie. One asking about Billy. You going to see Billy race or?
I think so. I mean, we've got a card here ready for him. It's just up to him, whatever he wants to do. I don't think he's made up his mind yet.
Okay. And then someone asking us here, Scott's asking us about Matt Shepard, new crew chief. I haven't heard much. It's been a pretty quiet offseason on that front. I know there's some changes going on there with Matt Shepard's team. But the second part is asking you about, do you guys utilize the same crew chief or main crew guy? And I'll let you take that one. That's for you, buddy.
Yeah, so Scott Jeffrey oversees the whole racing operation, and Darren and I use him, as a main guy to go to with stuff, and that's who we communicate the most with. That's his main crew chief, and then when I go racing, Scott's always there at Brewerton, and then on Saturdays at Thunder, my brother has a guy, Tyler, and I have Noah, who's there, all the time. They're the two full-time guys in the shop. And then, when they go out on series races, all three of them guys go.
So there it is, update. So Billy plans the race. He better. But if he doesn't, which I want him to, because, again, I grew up a Billy Decker fan. I want him to. But I believe I did announce his last win, which came at the Wade was it a Wade Decker race at Thunder Mountain, I believe it was?
I don't remember. It could be.
I think it was. One of my proudest accomplishments, getting to announce Billy Decker winning a modified race. That was a lot of fun for me. Let's see. We got through that. We did have somebody ask about what's the entry list look like for All-Tech. So let's talk a little bit about the Showdown in the Sunshine State. Obviously, DTD promotion coming up February 4th through the 7th All-Tech Raceway. We got practice on Wednesday night. Then there's 3 big nights of racing. If you can go, $10 to get in on Thursday and Friday. $15 on Saturday. Pit passes are $45. If not, you can watch the whole week. $39.99 a night or $109.99 for the week. The entry list for us, it's going to be a who's who. I know Maddie's not going. He's got baby duty coming up here. He's going to have baby duty, so he can't go.
That's right.
So getting closer to baby duty there. And like for us, we obviously started releasing list of names. Chris Curtis was the first driver to enter with the modifieds, but the likes of drivers like Matt Williamson, Matt Shepard, Jimmy Phelps will be there. Trying to think out through my list. We got a lot of Western PA, Agent Cipriano, Rex King Jr., a.k.a. Cooter, just because that's the coolest nickname in racing. Garrett, what's his name? Garrett Crummer. There we go. I got my sprint car brain went to me for a second. I was like, Garrett Williamson. Wait, wrong Garrett. Alex Payne has entered. Felix Waugh has entered. Peter Britton. We've talked to Stuart Friesen. He plans on being in attendance as long as everything goes up. We already got to see him back in a race car. So he has talked about coming. So the list there looks pretty good. Sportsman is just as deep. I think we've got 22, 25 sportsmen pre-entered so far. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. And I didn't mention everyone. We're going to start, if you pay attention to the Dirt Track Digest Facebook page, you'll start seeing everybody who's coming and who plans on being in attendance. But I think it's going to be really, really well attended. It's going to be a fun couple days at All-Tech. So looking forward to that. Let's see. We got a couple questions here. Maddie's got a 358. Maddie, you don't have a spec, but I think you have or do you have a spec open? I can't remember what you got.
Yep, it's a Dirt Legal 358. That's what I ran at the Monster Bash.
Okay, there you go. And Damon also asked him, what's it take for Matt being in Dirt Car Series with his brother? Talk about racing with your brother. I mean, it's not a I think if you ever are around the team, from my outside perspective, you see these two kind of talking a lot, and it really looks like a team effort.
Yeah, no, we're here. It's a second job for us. I mean, we don't everything that we get, we put right back into it. But him and I communicate a lot with Scott to get better as a team, and typically we find something within the year that helps us both. So, it works out pretty good. There's ain't no just got to beat Matt or just got to beat Darren nonsense going on. So that's what keeps it going smooth,
So there's that. And then somebody asked us, what in the world is a pizza log? Now, I've had pizza. If you look at me, you can tell that I enjoy a pizza log. So a pizza log is basically like a Chinese egg roll shell, I would say. And then inside they have cheese ones and they have pepperoni. And it's just basically, it's like almost like a mini calzone in your hand, but it's more of a, the shell on an egg roll than I would say dough, or maybe a cross between the both. I'd kind of say that. I don't know. Matt, have you ever had a pizza log?
Not at a racetrack, no. So I'm out of the loop here with this one. This is all you.
How can you? Next time we go out somewhere down by your way, I'm going to see if they got pizza logs on the menu.
We got good pizza around me. We don't have to roll it up.
Okay, you're going to need a pizza log, man. I'm telling you, that is
I'll try them.
That's a racetrack delicacy. Okay, racetrack delicacy. All right, so we've caught up kind of on the comments. We've caught up here on the phone calls. Again, if anybody wants to call in, feel free. You'll see the number on the bottom of the screen here coming in. So we've had some kind of questions come in throughout the week when I put up a post on my Facebook page about what people, what do they want us to talk about? And there you can see the number of 315-878-7766. Now, one of the topics that came up that my good buddy of that Anthony Knighton from High Torque of New York brought up for me was sail panels. What do you think? Now, I am a sail panel guy. I love sail panels. I love a modified race with sail panels. And we can piggyback this question with someone asked about body rules. We have all these classes that look alike. What can be done to kind of make them look different? So, Matt, I'll get your perspective on the sail panels first, and then we can kind of talk body rules and all the other stuff.
I'm a big sail panel guy, but I'm from Southern Tier Racing, so I guess I'm a little biased, and it's kind of what I saw first. So that's my argument. I like the sail panels. Like I said, brought up around the Southern Tier stuff. It seems like the Northern people, I think it's 50-50. I would say people that like the windows versus the sail panels, because one of the biggest races up in that neck of the woods is the Outlaw 200, and you got to have sail panels for it. And I just think when you get there, you go through the pitch, the difference between the modified and the sportsman. So I'm a pro sail panel guy.
That's good. That is what I wanted to hear. Now, I know if you can see this, right, but this is my favorite race car of all time. Okay, I'll put it close. All right, now look at the sail panels on that car compared to what you get to run. What do you think of those? Those, I believe, are badass, man. Those are sail panels.
I think that car in a whole is just pretty cool. It's got the flames on it. That screams early 2000s.
Yeah, it is. It is. That was East Windsor. So by my good buddy Dave Pratt. And it's funny. I got to induct Frank Cozy into the Eastern Motorsports Hall of Fame this weekend, and the stories talking about East Windsor and the stuff that Frank used to do, running back, running that Pennsylvania, New Jersey kind of circuit for a lot of years. And we were talking about sail panels, and we were talking about these cars because the other thing they did that we don't do is they ran, either drag rubber, or by the time, the late 90s, early 2000s, they were running a sprint car tire on the right rear. And basically the left rear was the size of our right rear now. And to me, that's a race car. That's what modified racing needs.
I've seen plenty of pictures of those drag rubber modifieds, and you just see a car with a huge body on it and massive tires, and the guys didn't really have to hunt for traction with those things. It seems like from anything Billy has said, those things were hooked to the earth.
Yeah, they're awesome race cars. Again, I loved going to Windsor. That was why Windsor to this day is probably one of my top 5 favorite tracks that I ever attended a race at, just because of how mean and nasty those cars looked. Like, they just looked tough. I don't know what it was, but on the bigger picture with the body rules and things like that, we talk sail panels, but we kind of see the rules. I think a good thing is we kind of see all the rules kind of coming back the right way. I think for a little bit, we got some crazy stuff there going on with the bodies and the doors.
Yeah, I think it's good across the board to have a uniform, body rules. You have sprint cars and late models, they can go all over the country racing pretty much the same rule package. So I think it was a great start to get things closer to have, the body panels, get a little tighter with running the same size doors and whatnot. But yeah, I think the sportsmen, they don't get to run spoilers anymore, so that's a little bit of a distinguishment between us and the sportsmen. But yeah, back to the sail panel thing. I love sail panels. I'm a pro sail panel.
Well, see, that would be my ideal thing. Let's put the modifieds all run sail panels. 358s can run, windows and a spoiler. Then the sportsman, we'll just take the spoiler off, and there we go. We got our three divisions. We got it covered.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just solved that problem for modified racing. I think we're good. I think we'll just check that one off. We did get a question about the Florida experiment. Now, I'll be interested in your thoughts on this. Matt asked us if the Florida spoiler experiment, short spoiler in Florida. I don't know if you saw the rule, but we're using the same rule at Alltech, where it's a maximum height at the back of the car of 47 inches. So I believe that's taking the spoiler way down from where it currently is. So what's your thoughts on that? What's that? Is that a good idea? Is it where we should be going? What do you think on that?
I don't know. This is honestly the first I'm hearing of it.
Hey, read the, you're not going to Alltech, so you wouldn't have read the competitor's guide, so then you wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, you didn't share that with me. I'm not really sure. I haven't raced at Volusia, so I mean, I know it's big. Obviously, air affects a lot of things, on bigger tracks. But I'm not really sure. I don't really have an opinion for that. I haven't raced at Volusia, like I said, and I haven't taken the spoiler off a big block or an open car to notice a difference. Obviously, when you're racing, you want every little bit you can get. So, I mean, if everybody's running it, I think the product's going to be relatively similar. So I don't really know what to think about that.
See, me, I don't mind taking a little bit of downforce. Now, look, our cars aren't glued like a sprint car, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Sprint car, you're planted. I mean, you can say the typical modified where, they got a big crutch on top. Okay, yeah, I know. Okay, we got it. But I think we need a little arrow off the cars. If you watch back we're never going to go back to where we were, right? We're never going to get that to change. Okay. But I think by reducing some of the downforce on the cars, maybe put a little bit more back in the driver's hands, you may see things change a little bit. I still think the technology's come a long way, but I still think that changes things a little bit, at least in my perspective, but I'm not the one driving the car either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think you got to follow evolution to a certain degree, but I'm not totally against something that's going to make our racing better,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're all for, right? Like I want to go see good racing. Like at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Bringing in the opinion on bars versus coils. Is that something we're ready to go to battle on here, Matt, or not yet? Because I'd like to but before we have this, we're going to have this discussion again at some time, and I'm going to bring a track prep guy on and also talk about that and see what their thoughts are on how the cars have changed and what it does to racetracks. But you're going to be more of the expert here. Obviously, I'm going to say bars, just because I felt like cars weren't as hooked up when we were on bars. But again, that's my opinion, and I'm not driving it. You are.
Yeah. To make the long conversation short, I wasn't on bars long enough. I was on bars for like 2 seasons, not really enough. It was I was on right side in bars, and then the next year I was on left side in bars for a very short amount of time, and then we went right to coils. So I mean, I can't really weigh in too much on that. I was around it a little bit, but not enough to give you too much information on it. Just didn't know any better at the time.
Yeah, so that's obviously every guy modern day now, everybody wants to be on coils, right? That's where we've gone. That's kind of the evolution of the sport, which kind of is a rebirth of something, because I think back in the day we also ran coils. Again, I'm not as good in the tech, like if you're asking technical questions, Maddie's going to be your guy on this show. I know you can put you put your lug nuts on and that puts the tire on, or you take them off, you can take the tire off, and I can tell you some of the parts. But as for anything else, I'm not your guy there. I'm not your guy. Jamie Weekneck, my 8-week-old says, I want to say hi, but I think it's I. So I think he likes sail panels. Okay. I think that's what we're going with. I think that came. So Jamie, thank you. All right. Or KB19, as I know him by. He was one of the old members of the Dirt Track Digest forum back in the day. So, he was been around for a long time. So thanks for listening, Jamie. We appreciate you.
For sure.
I like this one. This one's coming in from our friend Don.
What do we got?
This is a good one. Yeah, I like this one. What are your thoughts on the handicap system in big blocks? And some top guys aren't always taking the podium. Sail panels are the best, Don. So Don, that's awesome. Thank you very much. I gotta say, I like handicapping. I don't think you can handicap for a touring show because it just excludes so many guys that may come in for that one race at their home track. But as far as weekly handicapping at places with good racing, I don't think it matters. I go to Brewerton every week, when I can, and I've seen Tim Sears, Jimmy Phelps, Larry White, guys like that starting way back in 18th because they still handicap 18 at Brewerton, and they can come to the front. Thunder Mountain, I think we handicap 15 or 12, 15. And Matty, you can come from the back, and kind of go from there. So, what's your thoughts on handicap? You're a driver. Again, it affects you more than me, but I love a good handicap race, and there's nothing better than watching some of the, the guys that are really good at their racetracks dicing through cars and passing cars and kind of doing those things.
Yeah, I think by and large the cream always rises to the top. So your good guys are going to be good. I don't know if you're asking about the tour stuff. I think you have to do it. In my opinion, you got to have a time trial deal. I just think, like Mallett said, I didn't really think of it until you said it. But if you're trying to get outside guys that don't run the series that come in and try and qualify for these races, I think you kind of have to do a time trial or a draw of some sort. But the weekly stuff, I don't think the handicap hurts anything. But I also don't think that I'm not really sure. What do you think about time trials with weekly stuff, Mike?
I'm out. I'm not a fan of that. And my main argument for a lot of this stuff is there's a couple things. George just commented, but we'll get to that. But
Bye, George. Bye, George.
My main thing is that racing is still entertainment, right? Like we're in the entertainment business. Like I know you guys are doing it. Not you have a full-time job and you race, it's not your living, and some guys are racing for a living. But I think we forget sometimes that racing is still entertainment for the fans. Mm-hmm. And a product with handicapping, usually, I will say usually, not all the time, okay, is usually better than starting all the fast cars up front. That and just my opinion. Now, series races is tougher because let's say you handicapped a super dirt car series race. Well, the 10 guys starting up front are still 10 really, really, really good guys, right? So
yeah, there's no slouches.
Right. But your weekly racing, again, there's guys that they race one night a week. They're there to have some fun with their friends. Starting up front kind of gives them an opportunity, gives them a chance, to maybe pull something off, maybe win, and makes some of the other guys have to work for it. That's why when you go to Brewerton, you usually see a pretty decent crowd in the stands. Because the racing's good. Thunder Mountain on Saturdays. I'm partial, but this is where I go every week. But you see decent crowds. I Fonda Speedway, watching Stuart Friesen start 15th. Watching him race come from the back of Fonda. That's exciting. Thunder, watching guys come from the back. Lebanon Valley this year, I got there a lot. Watching guys start mid-pack and come up through the field like Andy Bicchetti and those guys. That's fun. That's exciting. And whether you like the guy or hate the guy, it gives you a chance to cheer when he passes a car, or you can boo and be pissed off that he passed a car. And I see Rich Murtaugh's making some people don't belong starting up front because it's going to cause a wreck. And I understand that argument too. And you probably see that more in support classes, than say, the modified guys. But George Smith just commented, we won't get to the minivan comment, but CD and Jack would come from 16th to 18th to Fonda. Yeah, and Jack Johnson's the all-time winningest driver there. And they came from 16th to 18th every week. that it still can be done. We've seen it done. Where did Matt Shepard start every week at Utica Rome? 12th, 15th? Mm-hmm. Me personally, 12th, 15th, 18th, some places 18th might be too far, but I don't see 15th is out of the realm of possibilities here. Jamie Weekneck struggling here. I don't know what he's doing. Hold on. Over. Okay. Let's now. Here's another idea, and Cody Decker makes this comment. If you could put that one up for us, Eric. Here, Cody Decker. They redraw the whole field for the Freedom 76. So if you qualify for the show, you're in the redraw. Passing points. I don't. Do you ever race with passing points, Matt, or no?
No, never.
Okay, so passing points is you draw, you get points for your finishing order in every car you pass, and then you determine who's in, who's out based on the points they earn in their heat race. My issue with passing points is you got to be a mathematician to figure out what the heck is going on, right? This guy starts on a pole, finishes second. He might not qualify because he's going to lose points for going backwards. But the guy that starts, fifth, wins, whatever, he's going to be the first to draw. Like, it gets very convoluted and difficult. I don't hate the concept because the concept rewards guys that pass cars. But I don't think passing points from a fan perspective, at least in my opinion, is hard to, it's just too hard to follow.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not too familiar with that 76er deal. I know that you could draw two or at a minimum twice, obviously, but can you draw 3 times there? And I mean, you can have the fastest car on the track and not even qualify.
Yeah. Well, so the Sixer, what happens is when you draw for the feature, every starter in the feature draws for their starting position. So if you qualify, you're in the redraw. So you could have the fastest car, dominate your heat, kick everybody's butt, 24.
Yeah, I mean, that's not regular for us, but those guys down there might think it's the coolest thing ever. So if it works, it works,
Yeah.
If that's what the fans are into.
All right, here's a question from Jamie again about big block resurgence over the last few years. Think any 358 tracks try big block weekly? I don't know. I think the crazy part is I kind of see that we're going the other way, right? We're going in the different direction where we're seeing a lot more tracks go 358s. Now, I wish we could get some more big block tracks. I think that'd be good for big block racing to have more tracks, but I think we're kind of going the other way.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, Mal. I think mixing those small block and the big blocks has been pretty good. They don't mix them at Albany. They have both, but like Brewerton, they mix the 358s and the big blocks, and I'm obviously partial to it because I race there weekly. But I mean, you can have a great 358 and walk by those big blocks, and you can have your big block on a slick track and be just as good. Obviously, it's a little harder, but I don't know. I think the product can be good both ways there.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, again, I think a lot of it is the track. Where was it? We had a comment about, we were talking about track prep. And I've been a lot of places to see the track prep. It's up a little bit further from our buddy Tucker. Now, who do you think does the best track prep? I think there's a lot of guys out there that do a really nice job. Like, obviously, the guys that do Brewerton do really good. They're awesome. Lyle DeVore, unfortunately, we lost Lyle this past December, but Lyle always had Albany in tip-top shape. Carl he's doing great down at Thunder Mountain this year. I know me, I like Jeremy Corcoran. Jeremy, you know what you're going to get with Jeremy. You're going to get a slick racetrack. It's going to be wide. It's going to be racy. I kind of like guys like that. Again, I'm not a big Evo cushion guy. I just know usually doesn't produce the best for our cars. But Maddie, I mean, what do you think? I mean, you don't probably get as many tracks as I do, obviously, and see the different kinds of track. I think Jamie Friesen's a guy you got to mention there too.
Yeah, I was going to say his name also. I mean, I think each track kind of has its own niche as far as what they try and prepare and then what they get throughout the night. I don't think you can say that any track is, bad. It's just, the racers choose a race where they want to go and, what they like. And I think, there's, like you said, you named off a lot of guys that do a lot of good track prep. And in my opinion, I don't think any of those guys prep a racetrack the same way, and you can get the same product depending on where you go. So, I mean, it just goes to show you how diverse our product is and how good our racing can be. Yeah,
and again, Paul Kirkland at Brockville. We're getting a lot of Eric Finks. Eric Fink, obviously, Brewerton and Fulton. So, I see a lot of those comments. Don't disagree. People asking about maybe a challenge for like a fan challenge. If you would go to the back, would that work?
Didn't they do that where like you could take money to start, or there was a monetary incentive to going backwards and coming back forwards if you chose to do it. You didn't have to, but you could.
Yeah, well, they do that with. I know there's a race at in Iowa called the Front Row Challenge. It's at Southern Iowa Speedway. It's on the Monday, the Knoxville Nationals. They've done that. And I want to say in the history of the event, it's been done one time. One guy did it. Now, they do it in TQ racing, just down in Allentown. If you earn the pole for the feature on Saturday night, they offered you a $10,000 bonus if you would start 10th. So that's not even a full field. Now, I think that's something like that's cool. I think you would have to get a sponsor and find somebody to to put some money in for it. But I think that'd be that. I mean, look, I'm not behind it. If there was a fan challenge and we raised money and we could get it done, that'd be pretty neat. Now, here's George with a comment. I think it goes back to when we were talking to big blocks, and you were kind of talking about it. The big block was never meant to turn the RPMs they turn now. I think that's a lot of racing motors. We're not really meant to be turning where we're turning.
I'm not a motor guy either, but I mean, I know.
Hey, you're supposed to be my tech guy here. Come on, get it together over there.
I am, but man, I'm not that smart. No, but you watch the modifieds now, like you're saying, we're turning some serious RPMs, even with the 358s. Now they have rev limiters. I think they're like, mid low sevens. I don't remember exactly what it is. And the big blocks, even on the small tracks, we're turning 8,000 RPMs, and the open stuff we can go between 8 and 84. So I mean, you can't deny that we're turning RPMs, but I mean, I don't know if it's just the way that they're built now, or if it's how much faster we're going, or a combination. I really can't answer that. I can't say that they're not meant to turn that, but we definitely are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's obviously changed racing because everything has gotten. You're definitely cranking things more. I don't as far as modified stuff, but I can remember when some of the newer 360 motors came in, and you're turning those things at like 9,000 RPMs. It's like, holy jeez.
At that time, I can remember are you talking about the Deo stuff?
Some of the Dale motors, and this was just like with ESS, the 360 guys.
I gotcha. I thought you were talking about when Dale had
what are you turning those open motors at? The Dale open motors up.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when they had those 360 weight brakes, I know guys were building those 360s just to get horsepower out of them, not necessarily torque. They were spinning those things like 9,000 RPMs. That's sprint car numbers. Yeah.
Yep. George again mentioned 7,000 was a lot in the 80s. So we've come a long way. I mean, we've definitely changed. We've changed the amount of torque and how much we stress our motors in racing. And I mean, do you think that is a reason why the cost has gone up partially?
I mean, yeah, if we're going to be turning these things, we gotta have supporting parts to make them last. Like I look at that, that rolling wheels race that we had on before we went live. There was a lot of track left there. You give some horsepower to a condition like that, and you get young guys like me and whoever, we're going to race all over that to try and pass somebody, where typically, even though it's got a little character, like you said, we're still going to race all over it. We're going to be turning some RPMs on a track like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt there. No doubt there. So looking through, making sure we kind of hit up all the comments, the passing point stuff. We kind of went through that. We got some of the names here on some different things. Sean Harton asked if Matt's going to All Tech. Matt, we talked about that. He's got a baby coming, Sean. He is got
a little girl on the way, first week of February.
Yeah, so, and did you get your baby on board sticker for your minivan yet? That question was asked earlier, so I just got to know.
No, you were supposed to find a minivan, wrap it in DTD. So
yeah, look,
that comes to fruition. I'll put baby on board all over it.
Next week, I'm coming down to see you, and we're going to hang out. We're hanging out on Saturday, so I might have a present for you. I'm going to have to get on Amazon and see if I can get a sticker. And don't worry, I'm going to see if I can get one with all the cats next to it too. So that way,
the family tree thing that like gets bigger and smaller. I'm not putting that on my truck.
I don't think you got enough space on the back of the truck. You got to put, the girlfriend, you got to put the baby, then you got to put the 2 dogs, then you got your 6 cats. I mean, there's not gonna be enough room. You're gonna have to start.
I'll get pulled over for having too many stickers in the back window.
So Neil Wilt just hopped in, and Neil's got a great question for us. And Neil's he's an old timer per se, like me, not as old as some folks we've talked to tonight. But do you think narrow bodies would eliminate the dust? And now I remember watching modified racing when we had narrower bodies. And it wasn't nearly as dusty, but is that the traction we're getting now? Does the
I
track
don't think
condition.
the
There's the bodies.
Yeah, I don't think it really has anything to do with the bodies. I think it's got to be mostly the way the track was prepared. You know, I don't think that had anything to do with the bodies. You're always going to have air coming off those cars and raising, the dust going up and out towards the fans. There's no way that you could really eliminate that other than maybe a little different track prep in that condition.
No, see me, I'm going to disagree with you because back before, now we look at our cars and they got the fins on each side. You got your panels, inner panels. Those go right down to the track. To me, I feel like they're like a vacuum cleaner and they just suck the dirt up right on the car. They just suck that dirt right up that's in the air and then it comes out the back. And now we've got these big, we got the big spoilers in the back. We got big decks. That's sucking all this air out and shoving it straight up into the air. And you can see the dirt coming off like if you watch a left rear, you're obviously not paying attention to this because you're in a race car, unlike me who's sitting in the stands. You can see the dirt on the left rear of a big block or a modified in general. You can see the dirt spinning around the tire. Is some of that track prep? I'll say some of that is track prep, but I want to say I think we have too much dig in the racetrack, and that's going to wear the racetrack out and cause more dust, at least in my opinion. But now we got some different comments here, of people responding here. Yeah, we didn't have as much bite. Rich Murtaugh, cars didn't have as much bite back then. But then we have the other side, like Neil's comment here. If the tracks are too heavy, a lot of drivers complain. Now you're not going to be one of them. You're hey, let's go to the cushion. But there are guys that do not like a heavy racetrack.
Yeah, there's a lot of young and old guys that don't necessarily like the super heavy racetrack, but I don't know. I don't know that I believe the whole dust with the narrow body things. Like you're saying, it's coming off the tires and we're turning left and it's going towards the outside of the racetrack. So I think that has some more to do with the whole dust thing and the size of the bodies and whatnot. But what do I know?
Again, it's an interesting, and that's why I'd like to have a track prep guy on. To get his thoughts on what he thinks is making racetracks dusty, because I think they obviously have a different feeling than the drivers do, right? They're going to have a different opinion on that. But I would love to have that, have a track prep guy talk about what has changed in track prep in the last 10 years and why do you think the tracks are so dusty? So I think that's something I'm going to work on, is getting someone to come in here and chat with us a little bit. I did Steve Ovens listening in, the voice of the Land of Legends Raceway. Do we have a status check on Frank Cozy? Yeah, Steve, I'll Steven, I'll give you the update. Frank Cozy is okay, but what a blast. Again, as I said at the drop of the show, I was at the Eastern Motorsports Press Association convention this weekend, and I was fortunate enough to induct Frank Cozy, one of my heroes, one of my favorite drivers. And if you want to hear some good old racing stories, during the night after the banquet was over and all of that, we sat around with Frank. We watched the Chili Bowl, and then a handful of us stayed there, and we started finding some old races to watch that Frank was a part of. We went back and watched some pavement racing from Cayuga in Canada. We watched some races from when he won the Victoria 200. And if you know Frank, that man can tell a story. It is much like Billy Decker can tell a story, Maddie. Frank Cozy can tell a good story. So, no, but Frank made it. I called him on Sunday morning to make sure he was okay. So again, seeing back to our comments here, dry slick makes better racing. I agree. I'm a slower track guy. I don't disagree with you, Jeremy. I think slicker racetrack makes for better racing. It slows the cars down, and it is easier on equipment. I think most drivers like that. I think that's across the board. Unless you're one of the young gun guys that, like hitting that cushion, pounding that cushion, I think, it's definitely better. Even you, Maddie, we watched the race you won last week. There was a mean cushion up there, and you were still working those tires.
I was not. You can't label me as a cushion pounder. Don't get me wrong, I can do it, and I enjoy it. But no, I think it just comes down to fan preference too, with the whole slick stuff and cushion. Do fans like to watch a black racetrack with guys racing all over it a little slower? Do they want to have excitement? And not that the black slick stuff isn't exciting, but do they want that style racing where guys are pounding the cushion or slide jobs and whatever else comes with that? Or what do they want to watch? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it makes sense. Again, it's entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. I will say I would rather watch a race if it's going to be one lane. I want to see everybody up on the cushion versus everybody down on the tires and nobody can get out of line and nobody can pass, right? I'll agree with that. I'll give you that one from the
I
entertainment
personally like,
right?
Apache track where there's areas across the entire track that you got to focus on and hit that you can see that one guy might not find, or, just that's kind of what I like. Brewerton's a lot like that. Thunder can be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I second that with you. I agree. Another question here from Tucker. Do you guys think a series similar to the old ROC would work again in the Southern Tier with decent purses for more of the Weekend Warrior guys? I would love to see something more for the Weekend Warrior guy. I think there's a lot out there right now for the bigger money teams, traveling teams. If you want to run the Super Dirt Car Series, a lot of high-paying races there. Obviously, the Short Track Super Series has some better purses. But, you had the ROC, used to have the Twin Tiers Series. I can't remember exactly what it was called. Kind of originated with Kenny Shupp out in that Western, like Western New York, Woodhall, and that kind of area. And that used to draw some cars. I do think kind of, a series for the regular driver, the guy that, the Weekend Warrior, if you will. I think that'd be a cool series. As to what your purse would be, I don't know what would make. Yeah, there it is. T3 series. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm not sure what you would what kind of guys would you get? Could you get guys to follow? Obviously, this couldn't be a 25 race schedule, but would a 10 race schedule work? I don't know.
I think it would have to be kind of structured, maybe not pay wise, but just whether it's on Sundays or a midweek or something that maybe 6-8 races. I don't think it needs to be anything huge, but I think something like that would be pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think if you you do the purse the right way, it doesn't have to be $5,000-$7,000 a win, but I think if you did a decent purse, a $4,000 a win purse, maybe 400 to start, 300 to start, somewhere in there, maybe something like that could come back. I mean, I think that would be a pretty cool deal. We got John on the line again, so we want to bring John in here. Well, can we? Hey, John, you're on with Matt and Mike. What do we got for us tonight, brother?
Yeah, hey, Matt. Have you ever been up to Accord Speedway?
Accord Speedway, I've never raced there, but I've been there to help my dad and Billy a number of years ago.
Okay. And let me ask you another question. Do you think Brett Dale will ever come back there with shows, short track series?
At Accord?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I know. Do they have a high paying race there, Mallett? Even without him there?
They have a few races. I know. Unfortunately, this year they got some new clay, so they bailed on the end of the season. What is it called? The Gobbler. That usually was a high paying race they did at the end of the year, and they normally did one kind of in the middle of the season. King of the Catskills. That was always a pretty decent paying show. Obviously, this year, Deo is not back at Accord. So as far as it ever coming back, I mean, that's going to be up to Brett and Gary Palmer, the promoter, to figure out. Maybe I don't know what happened with that situation, but I
don't know either.
Yeah, guys like going there. I know some guys really love going there, and some other guys are like, ugh. It's just, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the bull ring or do you prefer the big track? And I think that kind of determined whether guys like going there or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the bull ring.
Yeah, hey, I'm a bull ring guy too.
Brett Dale, yeah.
Yeah, yep, I get it. We're with you. We're with you on that.
Those put on some good racing, and that trophy was probably top 5 coolest trophies. That big set of horns or whatever that you got when you won that bull ring race.
Yeah. Yep. So that it, John?
Yep, that's it.
Thanks
I'm watching your show on TV.
Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. What do you think, Maddie? Any final thoughts here? We're going on an hour and 15 minutes here, so we've done our due diligence and covered a ton of different stuff here tonight, and it's been a blast. It's been fun. So what do you think? What do you got? Any final thoughts? Anything we obviously we have a list. If you don't believe me, we have a list of all these topics we're going to talk about, and then we hit 2 of them. But
we got to know what's your pre-race rituals for
oh yeah, pre-race rituals. pre-race ritual for broadcasting, I don't really have a ritual. I kind of plug my mic in, test and say test 1, 2, 3, and then I hear it. And then my ritual is I go to the pits and I try to talk to as many people as I can so I can learn about as much as I can prior to the race night. So if we have a caution or if something happens, I need to fill time or kill time, I have something to talk about. As far as like warming up my voice or any of that, none of that's happening. All right, my pre-race ritual for this was me and you were talking on the phone and we write down a bunch of ideas of stuff we can talk about, and then we talk about 2 of them. But overall, mostly my pre-race stuff is always a pit side thing. I'm always in the pits. You know, that's kind of my ritual. I don't wear the same underwear every race for good luck or anything like that. I will not wear, though, on a race day, I will not wear green underwear. Because green
What's
is bad.
the whole green thing? Because I mean, I've heard that, and internally people say the same thing, but I'm not a believer in the whole, you know, don't do this, do this. You're not allowed to eat that kind of thing. I'm not really into the whole hysteria as far as that goes.
So allegedly, okay, back in the day, if you drove a green race car, guys were getting injured and hurt and things like that. So that's kind of where it originates. The other one I've heard is peanuts are bad.
Peanuts, chicken, just a whole bunch of odd stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why peanuts are bad luck, but you know what? I'm going to take a shot here and look it up on the old handy Google. Let's see what it says.
I don't understand the whole green thing because you're going there to get some green. You know what I mean? Win the race and get some money.
I look, but again, it started in the 30s and 40s when people were getting hurt and severely injured and killed, and race cars that were painted green. This one says, so this is the Google AI here, and here's why. Okay, allegedly, right? So because of a superstition from the 1930s and 40s, where peanut shells were found at fatal crash sites, leading people to associate them with accidents, even though back in that era they were just a popular snack scattered around the track under the grandstands. So is it really bad luck? No, peanuts were probably everywhere. Okay, and you know, that was probably why. But so there's kind of the superstition. So I never really knew the peanut thing. That I had no clue, but I looked it up, and if that's what Google says, I'll go with that for tonight. I'm not going to say it right. So
yeah, I got no superstitions, none of that. I eat whatever I want, and not into the whole color thing either.
Doesn't matter.
Nope. You're hot or you're not. I'm not going to say that it's because of a pair of green underwear.
I don't think I didn't wear green today either. I was doing a live show. I didn't want to have green on. So like I said, anything racing related, I'm not doing green. So I got to keep all the good luck I can get here. And we got one more comment here before we wrap this thing up here. Can we get some Mallett racetrack food vlogs? Why can't Matt do it? Why do you got to pick on the fat guy who's got to do the food vlogs?
I'm usually running into the pits as soon as the races are starting. I'm busy during the day.
I can get someone to follow you with a camera all day. That would be fantastic.
That'd be busy. That'd be a busy day.
Yeah, it'd be a busy day. But I will tell you some of my favorite racetrack foods. And Matt, you have any? What's your favorite racetrack food?
My Aunt Sheila brings a whole bunch of food. It's not anything that you can get at a track unless you come to our trailers, but Aunt Sheila makes some pretty damn good food.
Okay, so that's an open invite for everybody watching that if Matt Smith is there, just walk up to the trailer and he's going to feed you.
Maybe.
My favorite couple things. I like Speedies. Any track that's got Speedies, I really enjoy that. Thunder Mountain's got some pretty decent Speedies. You know, I've had Speedies at Fonda Speedway.
You got to explain that because that's a Southern Tier thing.
That is. So for those who don't know what Speedy is, a Speedy is basically a piece of chicken. They dice up a piece of chicken and you put it in a marinade. Now the marinades, it's like an Italian dressing. It's similar, but it is not Italian dressing, right? Good ones are not Italian dressing. It's a little bit different dressing of herbs and spices. It did originate in the Southern Tier. Like every year you guys have Speedy Fest down in Binghamton. And my favorite Speedy place is still the one right there on, 7th Street or Front Street up north.
Front Street, right across their office.
Yeah, Speedy Rib Pit is still the number one. I don't know if you're a Lupo's guy or whatever, but I'm a Speedy Rib Pit guy.
Mm-hmm. I like both. They're both good.
Okay. And then my other favorite food, which you probably have never had. Have you been to a race in Quebec?
No. Are you going to go with poutine?
Oh, poutine, buddy. And you ain't lived.
That's good.
That is good. Like in the Canadian tracks, they make it good. It is like Autodrome Granby, Autodrome Drummond. Back in the day, Autodrome Edelweiss before it closed. Freaking on point, man, on point. It has been, it is. Oh, so good. So good. It is, it's been great. So with that, what do we got? Cody Decker, thanks for the kind words, buddy. I appreciate it. He's giving me a compliment. I appreciate you, Cody. I've known Cody a long time. We're trying, man. That's why we're doing this show, right? Matt and I, again, we want to have something for our modified folks and do something that hopefully, hopefully this stuff benefits the sport. That's what we want to do here. We want to have some fun. We want to, give you guys some knowledge and let you get a chance to talk with a driver, talk with a media guy that, we're fortunate. We're in the pits a lot and we have that backstage access that not a lot of race fans get. So that's kind of the purpose here. And don't worry, we're hoping to get bigger and better. Obviously right now we're still talking through just some of the random modified topics because we don't have a lot of racing, but just a couple weeks we will. Obviously, All Tech Raceway Showdown in the Sunshine State coming up February 4th through the 7th. Of course, you can't go. It's on DTD TV. So, Matt, what do you think? That a wrap?
Yeah, that's a wrap. Created the show to fill a void, and right now we're talking about some off-season stuff and some other random topics. But once the race season gets rolling, we'll be hot to trot here with stuff to talk about.
All right. So with that, we're going to wrap this one up. So for my producer, Eric, who's behind the scenes here, screening your calls and popping the comments in for you, for my buddy, Matt, my name's Mike Mallett. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for joining us here on our Monday Night Modifieds. It's been a pleasure. First two shows in the books, and we'll be back next Monday night, 7 o'clock. So stay tuned.